Recording 3, 2. Let's go. Woke up this morning excited. Today is a really, really exciting day for the Lundy family. I'll tell you all about that here in just a second. But I woke up this morning excited, went downstairs, grabbed my hashtag Rise and Grind planner. And what's amazing about the Rise and Grind planner is at the top of every single page, there's a quote submitted by an actual Rise and Grind member. And today's quote was contributed by John Catan. This is my boy John right here. It was submitted by John Catan. And the quote, his favorite quote was this: God is calling us to be the light in someone else's storm. And I thought, man, what a powerful image that portrays. And yes, sometimes we have to lean into the storms so we can be a light for someone else. A guy who knows all about being a light for someone else is my man, Jeremy Ryan Slate. He's going to be with us today here on hashtag Rise and Grind. I'm excited to introduce him to you. So let's get this thing rocking and rolling. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you, my friend? How are you, my friend? See, there's no excuse for you not pushing yourself to the next level. In order for you to create a new you must have a new mindset. When teams come together, we can create things that are greater than the sum of all of their parts.
Good morning and welcome to hashtag Rise and Grind. I am your host, Glenn Lundy. I am a husband to one, a father to 8, and the creator of what is going to be the #1 most watched morning show in the world. It is 5:30 a.m. and I hope that you are ready to rise and grind.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you, my friend? How are you, my friend? Dude, today is Friday. That's right. Today is Friday, August 6th, 2021. And what's crazy is today is the very first and the very last time it'll ever be Friday, August 6th, 2021. So I want to make sure we make the absolute most, and I do mean the absolute most of this absolutely incredible day. Today is also the final day of a full week of packing. That's right. My wife has been packing all week because the Lundys are going on vacation. We are going to the beach. It'll be the first full family vacation we've ever had. We got the Mercedes Sprinter van packed up, ready to go. All 12 seats filled with car seats, ready for the babies. We got life jackets. We got like these little canopy things. My wife's got food and snacks and clothes for days. And so today's the last day. We're going to pack that sucker up. We're going to hit the road and hit the beach. So I'm super excited to spend some time together with my family. If you want to see what that's like as we herd these cats over the next week, make sure you're following me over on Instagram, because I'll be storying like crazy as my wife is getting all frazzled trying to chase all the kids. I'll be like, wait, we got to get this clip for Instagram stories. All right. But if you want to follow us on this glorious journey, make sure you follow us over there on Instagram. This will be a first for my family, but definitely not the last time that we'll do something big together. As a matter of fact, the entire family is going to be together as we throw our annual Grow Your Business for God's Sake event right here in Lexington, Kentucky. And what you want to know, like, grow your business for God's sake, like, what is that thing like? Dude, I got to tell you, in case you missed the last one, it's absolutely incredible. We've got powerful speakers. You have musical performances. We've got dance routines. We've got comedians. We've got spoken word artists. We do some workshop work. We've got some worship music. Like, it's amazing. And not to mention the speakers that I'm talking about are some of the best in the world, right? We've got Tim Story's going to be joining us. Dave Meltzer's going to be joining us. Danelle Delgado's going to be dropping from the stage, and many, many more surprises that I'm not even going to tell you about right now. So if you want to join us at that event, go to growforgod.com. You can check out your tickets, or if you want to get an idea of what it's going to feel like, well, just pay attention.
Action-packed, it's faith-filled, it's changing lives. We started a fire.
The music, the speech, the presentation, it was out of this world.
This event has been completely mind-blowing. It's been so powerful and moving.
It's such a great environment. We're new business owners, and as new business owners, it's important and it's crucial to learn from the best, and we're here to learn from the best, so I encourage you to be at the next one.
You did not leave this place inspired. There's something wrong with you.
The value that I'll take with me leaving this event is greater than any dollar I could have spent to get here or be here.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Stay
It truly is an incredible experience. I hope you'll all be there. Growforgod.com. Our VIP tickets are limited, so if you want to go VIP, you're going to want to jump in on that and jump in on that right away. All right, growforgod.com. With that said, you know what we got to do on this show. Let's get to dancing. Let's get my boy in here. I'm super excited to introduce you to my man. This is the part of the show. Look, let's see if he's dancing in the green room. Let's look. Let's look. I don't know. It doesn't look like much of a dancer.
I don't really dance, man.
He said, I don't really dance, man.
I pick up really heavy stuff. That's what I do.
Okay, all right. Well, he's going to use those strong arms and legs to pick up some heavy stuff this morning. But we're going to do some dancing. We're going to get this body in motion. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. An object at rest tends to stay at rest. So get your butt up. Let's go. It's time to get rocking and rolling. This is also the part of the show where I need you to hit that share button. All right? I need you to hit that share button, because I believe if we can change the way people start their day, it'll make a massive impact on this planet. And sometimes all it takes to change the way somebody starts their day is for you to hit that share button. I also want to take this time to say good morning to you, and you say good morning to me. Whether you're watching live, on the replay, listening on the podcast, maybe you're on YouTube, wherever you're taking all this in, say what's up. I'll say what's up back. Good morning, Marcus Ellis. Great to see you. What's up, Eileen Mitnick? We've got Marilyn Wilkin in the house this morning. How you doing, Vicki Everett, Sean Weatherby? We've got Ella Matherson. What's up, Jeff Baker? How you doing, Brad Smith and Tarika Simmons? I also see we've got Brielle and Laura Wild and Dora Maria and Kimberly. And don't forget, we've got Manuela in the house this morning. We've got King and Monica and Venus and Coco. My man Cayente is in the building. What's up, Mario and Skip? Tamra, Andress, Anderson is up in here. What's up, Megan and Kate and Linda and Regina and Treva and Sheila? Oh my gosh, packed house, but all the way around. I appreciate you being here with me this morning. I'm ready to introduce you to my man right now, Mr. Jeremy Ryan Slate. Dude, this dude is a killer. That's the only way to describe him. The dude is an absolute killer. He is the founder of the Create Your Own Life podcast, which studies the highest performers in the world. This dude studied literature at Oxford University, specializes in podcasting and using podcasting and new media to create celebrity. This dude was ranked number 1 in iTunes New and number 78 in the iTunes Top 100. And he was also named the number one top podcast to listen to by Inc. magazine last year. So I'm super excited to introduce him to you. He's got a beautiful bride named Brielle. They just had their second baby. They're running their company called Command Your Brand. And I know he's going to add value into your life this morning. So let's rock and roll. Bro, did I give you enough time to let that coffee sink in?
I think we got some coffee in the body, man. I think I'm doing well now. I was saying before we got started here, I'm like, I don't get up this early. I said Glenn Lundy is the only person I get up this early for, other than if I'm going deep sea fishing, man.
Deep sea fishing, man. I've always wanted to do that. What's that like? How's that?
It's fun, but you get up at like 3:45 because you got to drive down to the Jersey Shore and dude, you catch these fish. They're called fluke, and they lay flat in the bottom of the water, so they have two eyes on one side of their body. It is the craziest thing you ever catch. But
yeah, I think I've seen those before. The two eyes on one side, they're just kind of flat. They're a very odd looking fish, man. That's awesome. Who do you go deep sea fishing with? Is that something you did like as a child with your dad? Is it a family thing? How's that work?
It's something I've always done with my dad. We have like the certain things we'll do. Like I've never been as good as a golfer as my dad. He's an incredible golfer. He like travels the country and plays tournaments and stuff like that. But like fishing is something I can definitely keep up with him with because you don't have to be that talented in order to do it.
Well, I would say that golf is probably a little bit difficult when you've got arms the size of yours. Like it probably gets in the way. Sometimes that would be my guess, right? Of that good solid swing. And so you come from a big time fitness background, right? You compete professionally in the world of fitness. How'd you get into that? And what's that been like for you?
So I was a wrestler in school, so weights are always a big part of like what I did, and the reason I stuck with it is I've always had like good genetics where, my body's always developed well depending on what I've been doing. So it's something I've enjoyed. I've done a lot of, and I did competitive powerlifting for many, many years. I pulled an 80,000-pound army tank to raise money for the Wounded Warrior Project. I've done some fun stuff, man. I've squatted over 700 pounds, deadlifted.
Whoa,
630 pounds.
Whoa. You pulled an 80,000 pound. What?
Yeah, man. So they hook a chain to the front of this 18-wheeler. They put the 18-wheeler in neutral. They hook a chain to the front of it, and they have the army tank sitting on the bed of it. And you've got to get low enough because if you get up too high, it pulls on the bumper and the thing doesn't move. But you get low enough, and then you kind of pull backwards to get it to move. You got to move it 12 feet. Lowest body weight to do it wins. Dude,
that's insane. How do you even think that you're like, I'm gonna go pull an 80,000 pound tank? Like what is going on in the head of a man who says I'm gonna go pull an 80,000 pound tank? Like have you always just been this big dreamer, visionary type dude that you're like, I can do anything? Or where does that come from?
Honestly, I didn't learn to dream until like later in life. And when I say later in life, I'm in my mid 30s. So like let's say my early 20s. My mom had a stroke back in 2012. And interestingly enough, 5 years before that, I had received last rites after having a really bad knee surgery that just, didn't go well, but it didn't really change my life. Almost losing my mom in 2012 was a big deal, man. It made me look at a lot of different things I was doing and, realize like what I wanted to do with my life. So 2014 was when I pulled the tank, so I'd already had this kind of big change in my life of like where I wanted to go. But it was interesting. I always kind of just followed the path that was laid out ahead of me rather than seeing what did I want to do, what did I want to create, and kind of having this jarring experience did that for me.
Yeah, I think let's talk about that a little bit because a lot of people do that, right? A lot of people just kind of continue on the path that was laid out in front of them. And I think it's very easy for us as humans to kind of fall into this natural state, right? Like we're going through school and people are like, well, what are you going to be when you grow up? Or what do you want to do when you grow up? Are you going to be a lawyer? Are you going to be a doctor? Are you going to be a police officer? They like kind of implant all these ideas. And then we go off to college and they're like, well, what are you going to major in? And you're like, I don't know. I'll choose this. And then you kind of graduate and you're like, well, I just spent 4 years doing that. I should probably take a job in that, right? Like we continue to fall into life versus kind of creating it on our own. So knowing that, and I know that you're an expert in this, why is that, and how do we break out of that?
There's two parts of this, and one of them I've always had an idea of, but honestly, I interviewed Brad Lee about 2 weeks ago, and it really made it a lot more clear for me. And we were talking about, why do people do that? And he was saying one of the biggest problems is we do things because we care what others think, right? We do things for others' approval, and because of that, we don't really learn to know ourselves and what we want out of life. So you have to get better at realizing, others want the best for you and they want to see you do well. And sometimes their fear can stop you, but you have to look at it from the viewpoint of, well, this is what I want to do. I'm not going to make you wrong on it. 'Cause I think sometimes we tend to make other people really wrong for wanting the opposite of what we want. You got to find out how to go where you want to go, but also show people like, hey, that's cool. That's what you want, but this is what I want. I think the other part of it too is education. I think it's not really set up in a way of getting people experience in life. I'm a big believer, and I don't know about you, Glenn. Like I didn't go to school for anything I do. I have a master's degree in ancient history, which I don't use, so it's kind of like whatever.
A master's in ancient history.
In ancient history, man. I can tell you anything you want to know about the Greeks and Romans. But interestingly enough, I've found that experience is like our greatest teacher in life. The things you do, whether you're winning or losing from them, you learn from them. You're always winning if you look at how can I learn from something, even if you don't come out the other side the way you want to. I look at education, and I think one of the biggest things missing is this idea of apprenticeships. You work under, and that's why I think coaching and stuff like that is so powerful, because you're working under somebody else that has experience. So I think there should really be this period of discernment between college, if you go, and where you're going to go from life from there, because you would work under somebody that's really good at what they do. And you look at the trades are actually really good at this. You work under a plumber, you work under these different people, you get experience, you learn how it works. And I think it teaches you, do I want to be in this career? Don't I want to be in this career? Hands-on experience, man, is some of the best teaching you can ever get, because you're actually doing something and learning that way. And I think that's the other thing that's really missing. Yeah,
no doubt, man. I'm 100% with you. And, as far as school, there's definitely many things that I learned, obviously, that I apply in different ways, but it blows my mind still to this day in 2021 that our schools are not teaching the life skills required, the business skills required, the acumen that you need. They're not teaching. They'll teach you how to balance your checkbook and put some money in savings, but they won't teach you how to really develop and be entrepreneurial if you want to be, or how to be a great employee when you choose to work for someone else, how to get yourself in a position of promotion and advancement and growth, right? They're not teaching those. They're just kind of teaching some of the basic stuff. And, I don't blame the teachers as individuals. It's just kind of the institution is very archaic and not up to date. And so these teachers are kind of stuck in this. And I think it also goes to the fact that, we don't pay these teachers jack, dude. Like, we'll pay a guy.
I was a teacher for 2 years out of school, so I can totally get where you're coming from. I taught high school, and I taught in a private school, which meant like, dude, I still have the pay stub, because I always want to remind myself like how rough that first year was. I made $19,000 my first year teaching back in 2012, and it's like, come on, man! Like if people are guiding our kids, there's got to be something more to it. Dude, but I also think at the same time, like, grades and things like that aren't showing us like what people can actually produce. We also need to like take a look at redoing that method. Like maybe it should be project based or something like that. I think there can be a lot of ways to kind of redo the system, especially with all the technology we have now.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%, man. And I always say, like, if we can pay somebody $340 million for 10 years to catch a ball, we could probably pay our teachers a little bit more.
Don't even get me started on that, man. I'm a Yankees fan, and last night, Giancarlo Stanton has kind of like really stunk the last 2 years, and like they're talking about like, so we paid him how much to hit less than 25 home runs and not break 100 RBIs and hit 250. So don't even get me started, man.
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Imagine the caliber of teachers we would have if they were paying teachers, $500,000 a year. Right now, you'd get some people that are like invested, right? And then, a little less wine drinking and a little more research would be my guess if we would.
Well, I think even for college, man, I don't know what your thoughts are on this. Like, I think we change the payment system on it too, because it's bloated the way it's currently done, and it doesn't really serve people. This is my thought on it. You pay 15% up front because you got to have skin in the game, right? You can't just do it for free. And then they would get, let's say, I'd have to work out the percentage, but let's say 15% your first 5 years out of college. They'd want you to get a darn good job, man, because they're getting paid commission off of what you're doing. So that's my thought on it.
I like that, man. Outside the box thinking, super smart. I don't know how we ended up on that tangent, but I absolutely love it.
It is totally my fault, but go ahead, my friend.
No, it's one of the things I love about you. You and I can have great conversations, and I think with you being in studio and having headphones on, you might be okay not remuting over on.
Okay, then I won't do that.
Yeah, because as long as you're not getting any feedback from my end. So I think we're okay on that, and I haven't gotten any complaints on the sound so far. So it sounds like we're doing pretty good. So you went from this fitness world, that was the thing that you were doing. You're pulling tanks, you're doing all that stuff. And then at some point you decide like, okay, I'm going to pivot, I'm going to shift, I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to head down this podcast lane and media lane and start building that company. So why did you make that decision? And how were you able to make that pivot? Because now you're freaking crushing it in the podcast world. Talk to us about that.
I failed at a lot of stuff, man.
Good.
Like I said, I was a teacher right out of school. When I got out in 2010, and my mom had a stroke in 2012, and that kind of like set me on a spiral. And I tried a lot of different things. Like I literally quit. I saw this network marketing presentation, which I didn't know what it was, so I thought it was gonna be like a multi-gazillionaire, like in the first week that I did this, like, flying in G5s, all this fun stuff.
Oh, and that's how that works, man. You didn't know?
It didn't really work like that, man. Like, you had to actually work it, and I didn't work it well enough right away.
Right,
but I saw the presentation. I actually called the principal at the school I worked at. I'm like, I quit. I'm going to be a millionaire. And it didn't really work like that. In fact, I had to figure out how to eat for a little while. So I did that for a couple of years. I went from there to selling life insurance, which I was really darn good at. I just didn't enjoy the process of telling somebody they're going to die and they should, buy this whole thing. So it takes a special type of person to do it, and that wasn't me.
Yeah, I feel you.
I went from there to selling products on Amazon and left my promo code on my listing. So I lost all of my products for $1 in about 20 minutes, and I was out of business. So I tried all these different things that didn't work.
Say that again.
I left the promo code for my product because, like, you try to get people to review it and stuff like day one, so that it looks good. I left the promo code on my Amazon listing, and I lost all 250 of my products in less than 20 minutes.
They all sold for $1?
For like a tenth of what I paid for them. So it's like, it was all over, man. Like I was actually in the negative on that whole thing. So
my bad.
All these different things, and I'm like, what do you do now? So I actually ended up getting a job at a friend's marketing firm. I taught myself how to build websites and code and stuff from YouTube videos. But I'd been a podcast listener since 2009. Like I had a college professor that introduced me, and I loved podcasts. So I was looking just for a creative outlet. And I started Create Your Own Life back in November of 2015, listed the top 100 people I most admired, and I saw 10,000 listens in my first month, man. And it's kind of been, history ever since.
Top 100 people that you admired, how many of them have you interviewed now?
Dude, a good number of them, surprisingly, because I find that a lot of people don't shoot for the stars. Like, you got to go big time, and like if you fail, you fail, but at least you tried it.
Don't tell everybody, bro. That's the
keep it
secret,
quiet, man. Like here's a good one. Like, I was really excited when I got to interview Robin Sharma. You ever read any of Robin Sharma's books?
I haven't.
He wrote the book, like The Monk That Sold His Ferrari and stuff like that. Super cool dude. Right. And they told me no, he's not available right now. I'm like, well, when is he available? They're like, 6 months from now. So I booked it 6 months out, and I got the interview. So it's always looking at, like, how can you take this no and make it into a yes, even if it is 6 months from now? And that's been a big deal for how I've gotten a lot of really cool people to agree to the show.
Yeah, man, you've interviewed some cool people indeed. You're getting all kinds of downloads. You're at what, 2 million downloads now or something like that?
We're well over 3 at this point now. It's been a journey, man.
Well over 3 million downloads here in the last 5.5 years or so. This world of podcasting, man, it's an interesting world. It's really blown up. Obviously, the Joe Rogan thing was a big deal, right? It kind of solidify that podcasting is real and there's a way to get there. I'd like to get your thoughts on, like, let's say I'm not a podcaster, maybe I own a business, or I'm not a podcaster, but I aspire to do some things. Do you feel like having a podcast is like is it going to be a requirement for all businesses or all people that are really trying to go out there and be successful? Is it going to be a requirement at some point that everybody has a podcast?
I don't think so, because not everyone's meant to host one. I really don't think so, and that's not an invalidation to anybody.
Yeah, totally.
I think unless you are going to create something that's different, that really differentiates you, and use it as a tool in that way, then it's not worth it. There's, 500,000 shows that are doing the exact same thing. So unless you can find out how to be unique, how to get your viewpoints out there, how to talk in a different way, like you do here, like this is a very unique way to deliver your content. If you can figure that out, then that is, podcasting can be for you, and it's a great way to build with people. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't be going on podcasts as a guest interview all the time. Like, that is something you should be doing consistently week after week after week, because, you don't have to worry about a content calendar. You don't have to worry about interviewing people. Not everybody's meant to do that, but it is an incredible way for you as a host to really build that influencer background, because you're getting positioning, and positioning is when you're seen for or against something, right? Like if you're seen with Coca-Cola, then people are positioning with you. They see I always hate when people say I'm the Uber of blank, but that's people trying to use positioning. They're trying to take something people already know and compare you for or against it. So when you're doing that as a guest or as a host and being seen with other people that are influencers, you're borrowing some influence. So you're actually getting really good positioning because you're being seen with that person. So you're grabbing that spot in your listener's mind. So positioning is extremely valuable. You're also getting long form content because people talk to you for a long period of time, and you just don't get that on TV or radio or anything like that. So there's a lot to be said about it, man.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%, right? Proximity is power, and you can gain authority by simply being in the same rooms, by sharing the same tables. I was at 10X GrowthCon, and I got John Travolta was on the stage, and I was like, okay, all right, I'm going to go this way. I know he's going to come off the stage over here. I'm going to position myself. All these people are going to bum rush him, so on and so forth, right? And I was like, as soon as he started to go, I positioned myself just perfectly, leaned in. I was like, John, boom, got a picture. John Travolta, me and John look like we're best friends in the whole wide world, right? He probably has no idea who I am. But that picture alone, dude, I post that thing on social media. It's like, oh my gosh, you're with John Travolta. So even, even just the imagery and being in the room and proximity definitely holds weight, right? We see these people.
Well, that's how I got an interview with Grant Cardone back in 2016, which is one thing that really, really launched me, because he was cool enough to share me with his entire audience, which he doesn't really do as much anymore.
Yeah.
So, he put me on Facebook, put me on Twitter, put me on his website. I ran into him at a charity event, and I'm like, that's Grant Cardone. So I ran over and introduced myself, and I'm like, dude, I've been trying to interview you for over a year. He's like, great, let's do it. I'm like, you're kidding me, right? So it's if you can put yourself in those positions, like you're saying, you can actually create your own success. You can't depend on other people to do it for you.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%, bro. So what is the secret sauce? You said Grant helped launch you, getting him on and getting to some of these influencers, getting in that proximity. What is the real secret sauce to winning in podcast world? How are you, so consistently at the top? Give me one or two little secrets. We've got podcasts. We do okay with the podcast. We've got a new podcast, Breakfast with Champions, that we've been doing on Clubhouse. That's now a podcast, and it's starting to pick up some steam. So what are maybe one or two little secret goodies that you can give us all to ending up ranking in the top?
Well, one of them is really just having great interviews, having people of value, that aren't doing the rounds sometimes, because if they're doing a lot of other shows, they tend not to share your stuff. So it's really about having the right guests in there, also sounding good. You don't have to have, a super high-end mic like I do. This is a studio mic, but if at least you have a decent mic, like a Audio-Technica ATR 2100 or something like that, to at least capture sound, because your first barrier is people being able to listen to you. The other thing is understanding what the main statistics are that rank you. The biggest thing that gets you ranked in Apple Podcasts right now is the number of subscribers you're gaining in a 24-hour period. Those charts actually change every 4 to 8 hours. So if you can push subscribers over a sustained period of time, you're going to climb charts. So that's what you really need to be thinking of. How do I get more people to subscribe? How do I get more people to subscribe? How do I get more people to subscribe? So whether that's contests, whether that's giveaways, whether that's, you shouting people out when they leave you a review, things like that, you need to find out how to engage people and get them to subscribe, because that's what's going to help you win climbing the chart. So you got to have quality guests. You got to sound good and understand that subscribers are your main thing. Reviews are great and they sound nice, but they don't really rank you. And even downloads are something that don't rank you as much as subscribes are. You can really move the needle a lot if you can get people to subscribe. And I'm talking like you get like 40 people to subscribe, you're going to see a chart bump. So you got to look at how you can get that kind of stuff and get more visibility that way.
Beautiful, man. That's awesome. I did not know that. We have been, obviously we're asked for the reviews. We're like, download the podcast.
You got to get all these people to subscribe, man. You got thousands of people on Clubhouse. They need to subscribe to this podcast, man.
That's what I'm saying. Come on, folks. The Breakfast with Champions podcast, the Rise and Grind podcast, whichever one, subscribe to that sucker. I would love a little chart bump, man. That's great advice, and that's why I wanted to ask. So I really appreciate you adding value in that sense. I'm going to ask you one last question, and then we're going to close it down here on Facebook.
Yeah, man.
We'll go over to Clubhouse. I know you agreed to answer some questions from the audience and whatnot, which is cool. But, dude, you've lived a really cool life. You're doing dynamic things. You're helping others create a life, right? Like create the life they really want to live, not just fall in line. You're bringing so much value to the marketplace and to the world. I really appreciate it, man. And so what I want to do is I just want to throw you up on top of a mountain real quick. All right. So you are on top of a mountain and all of civilization is at the base of the mountain, right? And they're cheering for you. They're going, Jeremy, 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 right? They're going wild for you. And somebody walks over and they hand you a microphone. And they say, Jeremy, you have 2 minutes. 2 minutes to drop something on them, practical application wisdom, something that all of civilization can apply in their life today, this week, this month, this year. What are you going to tell them?
Well, first of all, I just saw on Clubhouse, I'm going to do a shout out to my friend Essence Hayes that just joined the room. Hey, Essence. I'm going to say, the biggest thing you have to think of is there's only ever going to be one you, right? You are a unique person that can create a special type of success. And there are certain people that need to see you do well so they can see what's possible. So that's what you always have to be thinking. You are an example. And, what you create helps other people to create more. You can create that ripple. But the thing I want to tell people is your purpose isn't always going to hit you in the face. You have to realize the more things you do, the more working you do, the more you're going to figure it out. There's a book I read by Cal Newport, and it's called So Good They Can't Ignore You. And Cal talks about the idea of, just finding your purpose isn't really going to happen. You find something you're good at, and you continue to work at it and work at it and work at it. And when it becomes effortless, you become passionate. And I think that's what really has to happen. I know I'm in that millennial generation where I feel like so many times people look at, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not passionate about it, or that's not my purpose, whatever it is. You got to work to find purpose, dude. And that's what it's all about. So find something you're good at, work at it, work at it, work at it. Realize that, there are people watching you don't know about, and they need to see you do well so they can see what's possible. So that would be the biggest thing I would tell people, man. Find something you're good at, work at it, become the best at it, show other people what's possible.
Mic drop moments right there, folks. Find what you're good at, become the best at it, and understand that in your rise, you are inspiring others to do the same. And that's exactly what my boy Jeremy's been doing in his rise. He is inspiring all of us, bro. I appreciate you stepping into your greatness, not settling for average, becoming the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. I believe that you and I are children of God, the God of the universe, and that God, that's exactly what he wants from you and from everyone listening. He wants you to become the best version, not an average version, not a below average version, not an above average, but the absolute best. And so, Jeremy, you're out there doing it, bro. I absolutely stinking love you. Thanks for joining us here today on hashtag Rise and Grind, my man.
Hey, dude, you got me up before 6:30, so thank you so much for having me, man.
Awesome. Well, we're going to head on over to Clubhouse. Jeremy's going to continue to answer some questions over there. If you're watching here on Facebook, feel free to come join us over there. If you're catching us a little bit later on replay, we've got a bunch of interviews lined up on Breakfast with Champions today. We'll be running all the way until 11 a.m. Eastern time. So make sure you go over on the Clubhouse, check that out. However, if you do ever miss any of it, you can always go to the all new Breakfast with Champions podcast, wherever podcasts are listened to. You can check that out and make sure you subscribe. Just like my man said, hit us a little sub. I would greatly appreciate it. We can boost this sucker up. You know what I'm saying? It would be amazing. With that said, I will see you guys Monday morning at 5:30 a.m. Maybe. I'll be on vacation next week. I might have some surprises lined up for you. I'm just saying. But make sure you come back next week, Monday morning, 5:30 a.m., as we do it all over again on hashtag Rise and Grind.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Stay woke, stay